Hi, I'm Terry, one of the Consumer Technology Specialists for Mid-Continent Public Library, and today we are going to look at a feature of Word that you see every time you open Word and decide to open a blank document to create your own original document, and that is Word templates. So what are templates? Well, in general, templates are patterns or pre-created forms that someone else can follow. So whether you use a template for quilting or for woodworking or for working with metals or perhaps even creating a blueprint for a garden, you are using a template. Now in Word, a template is a pre-created document that already has formatting, it has space for words, and sometimes even gives you suggestions for what those words should be. So they just help you along with your document creation process. Let's start at the very beginning, and so we're going to go to the bottom left of my screen where I have this start button, and I'll click on it, and then I'm going to find my Word tile and click on it. Now as this opens, you can see that I happen to have Office 365. You might have a slightly different version of Word, but in the long run it doesn't matter because just any version of Word does have templates that you can find and use. As I look at the top of my screen, I can find my blank document, which is how you usually create a document from scratch. And that blank document is actually a template itself. To the right of that, I have, about 5 of the templates that I have looked at recently. But if I want to see more, I'm going to go to the right. And again, you may find this in a slightly different place, but there should be some sort of a link that says more templates, and we'll click on it. Now, starting at the top, these templates that are listed are the same ones that we saw on the other view, where they're just the ones that I've worked with recently. And then below that, as I look to the left, I see that I have 2 choices of Office, which are the templates that are coming in from Microsoft and perhaps other vendors, or I have Personal. Personal are really templates that I have created and saved as templates so that I can bring those documents back up and reuse them without overwriting some of the original text. Below that, I have a search box that lets me search for other templates, and then below that we even have some suggested searches. The suggested searches are kind of broad searches, so business, cards, flyers, letters, education, resumes and cover letters, and holiday. Sometimes you'll find that these are overlapping. For example, if you click on letters, you'll find that there are resumes and cover letters within the letters search. Sometimes these are so broad it's hard to find what you're looking for, and so then you would use the keyword search instead. Well, let's take a brief tour. Let's go with, say, business. And then look at some of the templates that are here. Let's start at the top of this new view with our business search that was created for us, and we can see that there is a keyword search box that is very handy, and that business was already typed in for us. Now, if you find that business is maybe too broad of a topic and you would like to narrow it down a bit, you could go back into the keyword bar and overtype business with your own particular search keyword. Well, let's look at this a little bit, and you can see that there are all sorts of templates that have been created and that are related to business. And as I scroll down, you can kind of get an idea of how colorful some of these are, how maybe plain others are, how they are for small business and large business, how you can create everything from business plans to business cards to employee wage increase forms, all sorts of different things. And you'll see, though, that as I scroll through kind of quickly here, that while there are a lot of templates, they aren't necessarily arranged by type of template. So the business cards were going to be found all over as you go through. They are also not arranged in any kind of alphabetical order, so you do really need to scroll through and read carefully to find the template that you're looking for. Now let's start in the upper left where I have a restaurant brochure here. Looks like it's a trifold. It's very attractive. But those pictures, nice as they are, may not reflect your restaurant, assuming that you do have a restaurant. And so you would want to replace those pictures with your own so that people could see the kind of food that you serve. But it gives you an idea of where those pictures should go and where the text should go. I see in the middle section here where that's probably the contact, the business information. And then on the left it shows you all sorts of text, which if we look closely, it'll tell us even maybe the kind of text that we should put there. So it might be describing a particular service that your restaurant would provide. To the right of the template name, you're going to see a little push pin here that when I rest on it, it even says pin to list. Now the list really isn't in this view, it's in the previous view where at the top I said, oh, well, these are the templates that I've recently looked at. Well, if you pin to a list, you're going to pin that particular brochure that I have here to that list. So every time you get to that view, really the first part of the template view, then you will always see this brochure. That helps you not need to do a search each time you're trying to find your specific template that you want to use. Well, let's click on this brochure template, and it brings up a separate small window, but it enlarges the size of this brochure so that I can kind of read it easier, decide if this is what I like even more, right? And then on the right, it tells me, of course, the name of the brochure again, who has provided it, and a lot of these are going to be provided by Microsoft. It gives me a description of, if this is the type of template that I do want to use. And these descriptions will include things like the size of paper that is needed. If you choose, say, business cards, it will give you the Avery product number, or so that you could use Avery labels or an equivalent, and you would have that information before you went to the store. It will also tell you if this particular template is only useful for particular versions of Word. Usually that means that older versions of Word are not maybe used for this particular brochure. On the other hand, I suppose they could even say, well, this is an older template, and so newer versions, beware, things may move on you a bit. But either way, they will try to give you information about this template, how it was set up, and how it will be useful for you. They also give you the download size of that particular template, and then you're going to look for a Create button that lets you download that template and bring it into your computer where you can use it and save it as you need to. Now, one of the things that I find a little confusing or maybe misleading from time to time is that I can look at this trifold brochure, and I know this is the outside of that document, so there needs to be an inside of that document as well. So I tend to be tempted into looking at this arrow, say on the right, and clicking it with the idea that it will show me the inside of this brochure. Well, when I do that, in fact, it shows me the next template. So all these arrows that are on the right or on the left of this smaller window do is take you from template to template, where you can see those templates a little bit larger and see their descriptions as well. Well, let's close out because I think I'd like to look at a, well, you know what, let's go with a label and let's create it. And you can see here in this description that it even says the size of the labels and that it works with Avery products, these particular numbers, or at least if you have other labels, you can see if they're the equivalent to Avery. And then we can create, and it will bring up these particular labels. So now all I need to do is, instead of having name, I would type in a name, I would type the street address, the city, state, and zip code, and at the top we can see that it says document 1, so this isn't saved. So I could go to File, Save As, give this document a name, and now it's a document that I can use over and over again. Well, let me close that. And I'm not going to save the changes, which is going to close out Word. So let's go back to Word. And here is that list of things that I've been looking at. And you can see that the hexagon labels, which we just played with a little bit, is part of that list. We can go to More Templates. Here is that list, and again, hexagon labels, because I opened it and we looked at it, is now part of the list. And had I pressed the little pin, it would show up here forever. And I have pressed this little pin for the restaurant brochure, so it will continue to show up here until I unpin it. But let's go back to our pre-created searches. Let's go back to business, and let's do one more. Let's look at the Modern Business Report. And again, it gives me a size. It shows me a picture that I could replace. It says here's the room for the company logo. Really interesting. Let's create this. It might take a little while to open this one. Not bad though. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so we can see. And by zooming out, I can even see that there's another page or another possibility for this particular report. So here's kind of the cover sheet. And then as I come down, I have again pictures that I can use or that I can replace. This shows me that I have heading styles that are already created. I have a header up at the top that has been pre-created that will go through on all of my pages. And then I just have sample language that I can replace and use for my own business. As I scroll on down, here's another type of page. Now, any of these pages that I don't want to use, I could just delete from my document. But again, here's a nice placement of the company logo and perhaps a picture, a header at the top, and then again, heading styles for the different headings and content that I want to put in. It should also, if I have page numbers, it should put those in as well. And then here is another example page that you might want to use for your report. Now you can intersperse these kind of fancy pages with, I guess what I could say, just plain typing for your report, because sometimes you just need plain typing, and say several pages of those as well. Now again, a different header style here, another placement of text. And this is a really nice table, but you could replace those icons with specific kinds of icons that go with your report as well. So a very helpful kind of document that would help you get started, perhaps find the words that you want to use, and just kind of make the whole report process faster and easier to do. Let's look briefly at the other kinds of suggested searches, and we could start with cards. And basically, if you need a card, there is a template for it. So there are all sorts of different kinds of greeting cards, there are thank you cards. Actually, business cards can be found here as well, along with tent cards for meetings. So if you find that maybe you forgot someone's birthday or you forgot their anniversary, or all of a sudden you need to come up with a teacher appreciation card, this is a place that you might look for cards and find exactly what you're looking for. Now, along with that, we could also look at flyers. And again, flyers or posters are 8.5 by 11. You can put in your event name, but I think you'll probably like to look at the backgrounds of these different flyers to determine what would work best for you. Some of them are probably more helpful than others, but you have everything from small business like lawnmower for sale, or maybe it's even grass cutting that you want to advertise, to dog walking, to missing pets, to all sorts of different school and community events, or even your own Halloween party that you would like to advertise and send a flyer to particular people. So these are a lot of fun events. Be sure to check out the different flyers. Now let's also see what else is there. Oh, letters. Now the letters are a combination of all sorts of different kinds of letters. So at first you'll probably see cover letters and resumes, but there are all sorts of business type letters as well. If you need to write a letter, say to a company, and you need to get reimbursement on their product because it was defective for some reason, you may find a letter template, but you just need to scroll down to find what you are looking for. Again, it's the artwork that is available to you that may make the difference in the type of letter that you select. Well, let's go back, and we'll also look at education. Now this is kind of fun. It is for students and teachers. It has some forms for kids for their reports, or it has a science fair organization types of things. It has volunteer lists. So for those who are either looking for volunteers to help with a school or kids to get organized to work on a project together, you will find that information here. And so the education can be very helpful. It even has some book report forms. It has even a classroom newsletter form that you might find helpful. Then there's resumes and cover letters, but those are also included in the letters search. So we could also look at holiday. And again, this has just about every holiday imaginable. It's kind of fun that Halloween, I guess that's probably the closest, is popping up. But certainly Halloween, and all the different holidays around November and December are certainly are available. You have Father's Day and Mother's Day and 4th of July and all sorts of different kinds of holiday cards and flyers and invitations that you may find helpful from time to time. Now that we've looked at the suggested searches, let's create a few of our own. To do that, we're going to go to our search box and click. And this is a little disconcerting because search for online templates doesn't seem to disappear, but you do have an insertion point at the far left. So you just simply start typing. And one of the forms that I look for from time to time is a fax cover sheet, because I'm never really comfortable with creating those on my own for some reason. So once I type fax, I can press enter on my keyboard, or I can go to the far right and click the magnifying glass. And this brings up a lot of different kinds of fax cover sheets, where some of them are more colorful, some of them are more plain, but it would help me stand out on a fax machine when maybe a lot of people are sending in faxes, so that they could find mine and get my information. Well, another thing that I use is a calendar, and I don't have to go clear back to the beginning. I can just stay right here in my searches and yet again press enter or the magnifying glass. And here are all sorts of different kinds of calendar formats that I might find really helpful, and I could just select one of those and print out my calendar, which would be very nice as well. Well, while we're here, let's look for some fun things. So let's click Kids, because we do have a preschooler that comes to visit us from time to time. So, a kids reward chart, that might be very helpful. Valentine's for kids. We were scrambling trying to find those Valentines last year. Now I know where to look for those. There's even a coloring book. Oh, well, let's look at coloring books and see if there's more coloring potential here. So coloring books. And when we search coloring books, there aren't a whole lot, but to me it's surprising that there are any. And it looks like maybe these are the more adult kind of coloring books, but if you need to have just some relaxation time, you might decide to print some of these out. Well, let's do one more search. And this is kind of an odd one because really I'm just typing in a word that describes some of the documents I think there might be available. So here's fun, and when I press enter, look at this. It brings up a fun fill-in story, bookmarks, coloring books, some certificates, a certificate of awesomeness. Now, who wouldn't want to receive one of those? Appreciation cards, classroom newsletters, and then some word searches that are already created. So a lot of fun information as well that you could very quickly and easily print out. So far, we have looked at templates that are made available through Word. But what if you want to start with a blank document, create your own document that then you could share with other people, but you don't want them to make changes to the image or to the words that you have used on the page, but you still want them to be able to fill out, say, in this case, name, phone, favorite color. Well, what you can do is create your own template, and that way you can preserve what's on the page but simply add to it as needed. What we'll do is go to File in the upper left and then Save As. Now I will need to go ahead and browse so that I can get to what is essentially the File Explorer, and then down at the bottom where it says File Name, I will give this document a name, and I'm just going to keep the title as the name, About Me. But where it says Save As Type, we will go to the bottom right, and instead of Word document, which is usually the default, we'll go to Word template, and then in the bottom right, Save. Now, before I click Save, notice that it has moved to a different place than we usually save documents. Lots of times it'll default to Documents, but now because we want to have a template, it goes to the subfolder of Custom Office Templates. Well, we'll click Save. Now, I can't tell that this is necessarily a template from here. It just says About Me. Let me close. And let's go back to Word. So I'll go to Start, Word. And then where I have my templates all listed, I'm going to go to More Templates to find, as I scroll down, Personal instead of Office. Click Personal. And I may need to scroll down a little bit. And now it has a list of the different templates that I have. One of those is called About Me. When I click on it, it brings up that template, and now I can type in my name. To learn more about Word, be sure to join us at mymcpl.org/online learning. There you'll see such great resources as Universal Class, lynda.com, Who Knew It, and Learning Express Library. Be sure to join us each week as we explore a variety of tech topics. Watch for us each Wednesday and Friday at 1 o'clock on Facebook at MCPL 360 or on YouTube at our MCPL Consumer